Ariel, and I'm going to give an introduction on our Ethics in Print article titled Green Energy Inspiration Off the Coast of Denmark. So this article informs us of Samso, a small Danish island which began a long-term transformation in 1997 when it won a government-sponsored contest to create a model community for renewable energy. Through the use of wind, solar, and geothermal energy, the island reached green energy independence in 2005 by generating more power from renewable resources than it was consuming overall. The article informs us of the ways several students from the state of Maine plan on borrowing some of the ideas that help Samso residents achieve the green independence and bring those ideas over to the U.S. and begin the process of implementing those ideas here. One concern relating to the hopes of transforming the states to be economically independent is raised by a woman named Suzanne McDonald, who is the energy director at the Island Institute in Rockland, Maine. She says that projects like these only work in places where people want to use technologies and can organize and lead the effort. This leads us to discuss who would be involved in the process of something like this being implemented here in the States. First, the proper authorities in government or within the state would need to be well informed of the transformation that would be happening and hopefully be willing to support us in the process of it. Next, as Ms. McDonald stated, there would have to be individuals who had an interest in the process and would be willing to participate and contribute in the transformation of it, as it would be a long process requiring a lot of time, patience, and dedication. Within that group, there would need to be citizens who were willing to go the extra mile and step up to lead the project in specific tasks, as Mr. Hermanson and his wife did for the people of Samso.
Hi, I'm Casey, and I'm going to be talking about the cultural, leadership, and moral issues of Samso's energy independent movement. One cultural issue with basically reinventing Samso was that it clashed with the traditional look and feel of a farming village. It took the town centuries of its own cooperation to raise enough cash just to build and run its own slaughterhouses, blacksmithing forges, and other facilities. So imagine bringing up all this hip and edgy modernized technology into somewhere like your great-grandmother's humble abode. When Hermanson, who was the head of the Samso Energy Program, pitched his idea of wind turbines and solar panels, it actually struck fear into the community. Thus, Samso lost its small village charm. Along with that cultural hiccup, one problem with Hermanson's leadership was his promise to the people. Samso's strong tradition of community held fast in the light of the new industrialization, and because of it, there was a sense of conservative look-to hesitation where they'd wait for their neighbor to make their first move. Months turned into years of waiting. So what are the moral and ethical issues with making Samso's energy independent? Tying in with the leadership issues, Hermanson had to lie a little bit to the villagers in order to stimulate their participation. He would persuade them to come to his house and just offer coffee, and then he would pitch his idea. In addition, he led them to believe this new industry would increase employment, but in reality, it made a more productive employment, and other areas of work shift to less productive sectors in the wind industry.
Hello, my name is Greg Mohr, and I'm going to be talking about the economic and financial issues about our article. Denmark is a major player when it comes to wind power. As of 2009, 28% of Denmark's electricity demand was supplied by wind turbines. In 2011, 3.1% of Denmark's gross domestic product came from selling renewable green energy, about 9.4 billion American dollars. Each turbine usually costs around $3 million to produce and set up. On Samso alone, $80 million was spent on turbines, 20% of which came from the government, and the rest coming from investors and residents of the island. Even though there is so much energy being produced from these wind turbines, it is said in our article that energy bills are still high because of Denmark, tax, and energy policies. These turbines also have some other drawbacks. The average useful life of a turbine is 10 to 15 years, while a normal power plant has a life of 40 to 60 years. These turbines also need a lot of maintenance. A repairman for the wind farm is quoted saying in our article, "There's a lot of trouble with the turbines. You're repairing and repairing. By the time you get one fixed, the next one doesn't work. These repairs are just adding more costs to each turbine. And when the turbines are down for maintenance or the wind isn't blowing, then the community has to revert back to fossil fuels until they are working again." Lastly, homes near the turbines lose significant value. Some homes become impossible to sell and are abandoned by their owners. This doesn't necessarily happen in Samso, but have been known to happen in other communities using turbines. Also, the turbines decrease the value of wilderness areas and tourist locations.
Hello guys, my name is Michael and I'm going to be going over the political and government involvement over the whole project and also the good and the bad. So to start off, Denmark was originally sponsoring a competition to see who can create the most efficient wind/solar energies and also who can create the most efficient geothermal/plant-based energies. And Samso just happened to win that competition, and that's how it all got started. Denmark is such a strong advocate for better global environment policies that it is actually a leader among the OECD member countries due to their policies in renewable energy, energy efficiency, and climate change. Now to go over the good and the bad. To start off, for the good, the energy is clean, is good on the environment, and also it's renewable because we're not splitting any atoms and we're not burning any fossil fuels. Denmark is actually able to sell the excess energy that it does not use to countries such as Norway and Sweden. Therefore, Norway and Sweden use less hydroelectricity. Biomass is also cheaper. It's about 1/8 the cost of oil, and also the new energy industry creates new jobs. On the downside, Denmark does rely on outside energy sources when the wind isn't blowing, and also there's fast depreciation on the equipment because windmills only last about 10 to 15 years, while nuclear power plants last nearly 60. It's also more expensive and less efficient because breaking an atom does create a lot of energy. And also burning elephant grass does emit a lot of carbon monoxide.
Hi, I'm Adrian, and I'm going to talk about the argument for something like Samso in the United States, and the argument against it. When residents of Monhagen visited the island of Samso, their small town was in the back of their minds. Monhagen, while not a big town with a population of about 60, balloons up thousands during summer months. Residents of Monhagen pay some of the highest rates on power in the United States, 6 times the national average. With that, the visit to Denmark sparked an interest in Monhagen's population talking about renewable energy again. And while subsidies in the United States are different than Denmark, we have seen government incentives for things like plug-in electric vehicles, possibly making the project more attractive to Monhagen's residents. And the project in Monhagen could be a template for broader adoption in the United States if it's a success. Now for the arguments against the idea. Residents need to be interested in a greener community because they are needed to build out the infrastructure. A commenter in an article on Scientific American questions alternate power does not have problems with reliability. What if the sun doesn't shine or the wind doesn't blow? Another one questioned, how much does the power actually cost to generate? Until the cost is comparable to coal, it will never be a true solution. The Center for Political Study published an article examining the situation in Denmark, and in that they wrote, Denmark generates the equivalent of about 90% of its electricity demand with wind turbines, but wind power contributes far less than 19% of the nation's electrical demand. To sum it up, Samso has been a great stepping stone, especially for other countries like the United States, to see the benefit of running a wind farm. Back in the United States, challenges facing the team in Monhagen are more than just money and labor, and renewable energy could be an alternative to fossil fuels for Monhagen, where its electrical company struggles to keep power running.